What's up guys, Mike here with Cards Do Sports Cards. So how do you know which sports cards are selling the most? How do you know which cards to buy and resell? How do you know which players are hot? Let's jump into some of the ways we can find out this information in this video. Before we get into it, if you want to unlock the secrets of selling and investing in low-end sports cards on eBay, this channel is your go-to source for expert tips, honest insights, and strategies to help boost your eBay sales. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button for me if you want to stay ahead in the card selling game, maximize your profits, and take your eBay card selling business to the next level. You can also check out my other channel at Puck Mike, where I open and talk about hockey cards. In the last video, I talked about how much money you can make selling sports cards by sharing a few examples of collections I've purchased and made money on. In that video, we touched briefly on some of the methods I use to decide which sports cards to buy and resell. But in today's video, let's go a little bit more in depth into this topic. The first thing you can do to know which cards are selling the most is use a tool. Now, there's a lot of tools on the market, both with positives and negatives. Tools like Market Movers, Card Ladder, and eBay's own Terapeak Insights sourcing tool. So, Market Movers, I did try this recently with their 1 week free trial. It can definitely give you an idea of which cards are on the rise or which ones are taking a downturn. You can even use it to identify trends for different sports, like hockey or baseball, to know if those sports cards are on the rise or on the downturn as well. The only drawback is that their indexes that dictate these numbers is built on mostly popular cards. So some lower end cards won't be in that list, so it wouldn't be 100% accurate, but still some decent data. My only complaint about Market Movers is that it didn't have some of the price history for some low end cards that I wanted to track. That way I could know when their card was trending up and when I should sell. So if you have some low-end cards you're trying to move, it might not be good for those, but if you have some of the popular players, it can give you some insights into the market. Their lowest paid option is the starter plan at $9.99 a month. If you're just starting out selling, I don't think you need this tool. If you've been selling for maybe 6 months or more, it wouldn't hurt to try the tool just to get an idea of looking at market trends and how you can use that data to boost your sales. Ultimately, I wouldn't say you need the tool, but there is some good data. Another option is Card Ladder, which, if you didn't know, was owned by Collectors, or more commonly known as PSA. Yes, another company owned by PSA. I think Card Ladder is an awesome tool. I haven't used the paid option yet, but unlike Market Movers, you can do a lot with it without even paying for it. If you go to cardladder.com and click on try it for free, and without paying a dime, you have access to their many indexes, specific players, and verified cards in their database. Now, you are limited on what you can see and how you can filter using this free option. Like, I don't think you can just filter by which player is trending up the most on the free plan. I would assume you can do that on the paid plan. I'm planning on buying the 1-year membership with PSA soon so that I can submit some cards to get graded, which does get me a free membership to Card Ladder. So hopefully I can do a full review of the platform later on. Ultimately, I think Card Ladder is great at first glance of using both of them, using Market Movers for a week and then using the free version of Card Ladder. I really like Card Ladder. I believe they're very serious about vetting the sales that goes into their data. And I don't know for sure, but one of the options under the Pro plan is that you can view all-time sales for an item. I've always wanted to go back to like 2005 or 2006 and see what Sidney Crosby's rookie card was selling for then versus what it's selling for now. So I would assume they would have that history, but every other platform I've seen, they have a cap on the amount of history that they can show you. But either way, at first glance, I like Card Ladder. The last option, and a really good one, is eBay's own Terapeak Sourcing Insights. Now, I don't believe you can use this if you don't have an eBay store subscription, I believe, but if you do, it's a great tool, one that I started using recently. So if you have a store subscription, go to the overview tab, scroll down to the research widget, and click on identify sourcing opportunities. It even says right below it, learn what to sell and when. I have trading card singles saved as a category, but you can also search and browse through all categories on eBay, like trading card lots as well. One important thing to note before we jump into the data is that this data is always going to be from the last 30 days. So if we jump into trading card singles here, we can see all the top opportunities of cards that are selling, and they're listed in order of how many impressions each category is getting. So we could look at this and deduce, that a lot of people are searching for football cards from the 2023 season. We can also jump in further here under item specifics. If you want to see which seasons are selling the most under each sport, we can do that, and then we can click into those. So baseball 2023, here it shows us total sold for the first time frame selected, and here we can filter by total sold. So 2024 top series one, then go through that list. We can do the same thing here for hockey. If you click on the sport versus just one specific season, you can view all seasons grouped in the results, so might be better to do that. So both of these examples indicate what? That newer products are likely selling the most, and we can dive into exactly which products those are based on this list. You can actually filter by date under this more granular section, and you can even adjust the source. So for hockey here, I'd probably adjust it to ebay.ca as well, not just ebay.com, because hockey cards sell a lot better in Canada. And if you ship to Canada like I do, then you want to stay on top of that market. Honestly, this tool is really awesome. I've been using this tool lately the most when I go to buy inventory, and looking back at some of the collections I've bought and sold, some of the successful ones ones with products that were newer at the time, just like the ones we are seeing in these insights now. So newer products seem to sell a lot better unless you have a player that can kind of stand the test of time, like a Wayne Gretzky or something like that. The only downside to this method is that a lot of these listings under the details in these insights are multi-variation listings clogging up the results. And I haven't found a way to exclude those yet because they fall under the trading card singles category. So you might not be able to use this as much to identify specific players as much as you can to identify trends in which sports and products are selling the most. The second thing you can do to know which cards are selling the most is use your own knowledge. Now again, in my previous video when I talked about how much money you can make selling sports cards, I used my own knowledge to make a really good guess on Tage Thompson's Young Guns. The most important point here is that it ultimately comes down to selling what you know the most. Now I wouldn't apply that as a blanket statement and say that means you should never reach out and sell anything else. I've sold a decent amount of football cards without really following football that much. Actually, I don't follow it at all. But in the end, I put a lot of my eggs into the hockey card basket because I know that sport the most. I follow my team, the Penguins, but I also follow news from around the league and all players. So my guesses at which players are going to have really good years or really bad years or which teams are going to excel are usually a lot better because I'm really tuned into that data. Doesn't mean I'm always going to be right, but I have a better chance and I'm making a more educated guess. If the same is true for you for all sports or one sports, then use that knowledge to your advantage. Find out which players are maybe not super hot right now. Maybe they didn't fit in with their team. Maybe they could benefit from a change of scenery. And now they got traded to a good team and now they're the starting quarterback or the starting running back. All of a sudden the team starts the year 5-0 and people want that player's card and the price goes up. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. For example, Quinn Hughes is an ice hockey defenseman. He's only 24, plays for the Vancouver Canucks. He's had great point total since 2019, but for whatever reason, a lot of the cards that I have of his just don't sell. Doesn't mean that none of his cards sell, and I didn't do a lot of research to make this claim. I just know a lot of the ones I have of his don't sell. I do have some base cards, so that is part of it, but I have some inserts as well. They're just not getting like any views in the store. He's never been a player that sold well for me. So use your knowledge, but just know you're not always going to be right. Sometimes players don't sell for other reasons. Maybe there was a more popular player at that time. Position has something to do with it as well. So use your knowledge, but be prepared that the market might tell you other things sometimes. We're getting into a little bit more of how do you know which players are going to sell versus how do you know which ones are selling. But at any rate, use your own knowledge to steer yourself in the right direction. And the last thing you can do is look at other sellers' cards that they've sold on eBay. This is a feature that I discovered recently that I think is so awesome. Now I follow some channels around YouTube, sports card channels, just to see what other people are doing, what they're selling. You can actually go to eBay, go to that person's eBay store. Now I think they do have to have an official eBay store, like an actual subscription though. You can look at their items and you can filter for the sold ones and you can actually see what that seller sold. So if they said I sold 10 cards yesterday, you can actually go see if they're lying or not. Find a seller that you like that's doing a lot of the same things that you want to do. Go to their store and see what they've sold recently. Did they sell football cards? If so, which ones, which inserts, which season? It's a really awesome tool. And if you think other companies and other businesses don't research their competitors, you're wrong. They definitely do. So definitely do this on a regular basis. Find some sellers. You can even go to my store if you want. I don't care. It's all public data on eBay. You can go to my store and see what I've sold recently as well. And hopefully that information will help you. But again, take that knowledge and adapt it to your own selling strategies. I sell a lot of hockey cards, but again, I'm really tuned into that market. I ship cards to Canada, and probably 80% as a rough guess, maybe even more of my store is hockey cards. And has always been. Actually, it started out with just hockey cards, so I'm kind of tuned into that algorithm, I guess, on eBay. So it doesn't mean that you're just gonna buy a bunch of hockey cards and it's gonna work for you. See what other people are selling and then adapt that to your own strategy as well. Of course, you can also just go to eBay and type in like baseball cards and filter for the sold items. The problem with that is it doesn't always pick up every single baseball card that was sold. I tried this one time with hockey cards and I tried to export some of the data, but then I searched for a specific player like Connor Bedard, and some of the recent sales that he had were not in that list. So if you just do that, it doesn't pick up all the sales, unfortunately, but it is another source you can use to see what's selling. I would just use it as another piece of all the other data points that you're using. That's it, guys. I hope this information helped you a little bit to know what you can do to find out which cards are selling the most. I watch a lot of other channels, and that's big questions that other channels followers ask them all the time. Which cards are selling? Which one should I buy? These are some great tools you can use to do your research to find out that information. Keep in mind, at the end of the day, a lot of us are just guessing. We're using our best guess to figure out which players' cards might sell the most, might increase in value. So take this all with a grain of salt. These are some things that have worked for me and some things that haven't worked for me. Be open to new methods, try new methods. If it doesn't work, move on to the next one. If it works, great. Find out what works for you. As always, if you want to unlock the secrets of selling and investing in low-end sports cards on eBay, this channel is is your go-to source for expert tips, honest insights, and strategies to help boost your eBay sales. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button for me if you want to stay ahead in the card selling game, maximize your profits, and take your eBay card selling business to the next level. You can also check out my other channel at Puck Mike, where I open and talk about hockey cards. I'll see you all in the next video.